So 30-day challenge. We are almost through our 30-day challenge. We've got a couple more weeks. We've got 3 more weeks before we get together for our next intensive on the 10th and the 11th of April. It is going to be a hoot. We've changed over to the webinar platform rather than the meeting platform because there's a cool little function that I'm yet to work out that we can Facebook Live straight into the tribe. So you can also watch that in there as well. So let's get underway. I want to hear from you. What's been a win for you for this week? I'd love to hear from you. What's been a win that you've had this week? I want you to just to type in the little chat section. What's been a win for you for this week? I'd love to hear from you. And I'm going to share with you some little highlights and some little cool things that we'll be going through over the next couple of weeks in relations to the 30-day challenge. So I want to hear from you. What's been a win for you for this week? What's been a win for you for this week? So as we wait for those people that had a couple of messages that are going to be logging on in a minute. So wait for me. So totally cool. One of the things, yes, good morning, Linda. Hi to all. One of the things that we're noticing is in relations to achievement is the focus. Where the focus goes, the energy flows, right? And so what happens a lot of the time is that we get busy being busy and we get into our trenches of work and so forth and so forth. And our 90-day plans, our KPIs, our projects get sort of by the wayside. And so what we're going to do over this next couple of weeks of this 30-day sprint is have them right here, because just going from feedback and going from thoughts from others is when we have it front of mind, when we actually have it as a daily, looking at it on the daily element, what happens is that then your focus goes to those KPIs, your focus goes to those key projects. And when our focus goes to those KPIs and projects, then that's where our energy goes. And when our energy goes, our behavior starts to shift, our activity starts to shift, and we start to move through and start to achieve those things that we need to achieve to hit our KPIs and to hit our projects. All right. And so that's where are your KPIs? Where's your 90-day? Where's your projects? Where are they? Are they in the drawer? Are they in a folder? Or are they up on the wall? Do you see them on a daily basis? And it's really important to actually go through this process and to review them every single morning, have that morning ritual of what we're going to be going through. What do you need to do each day? What do you need to do today to move you just one step closer to achieve those weekly targets that you set yourself, those weekly mini goals that you assign yourself for this week? All right. So remember, there's for those attending the next three Tuesday morning sessions, will be joining me dinner on at the intensive. So we'll be going out for dinner. I'll be shouting you guys dinner, but you need to turn up for the next 3 tribal sessions. So let's see if that works. Woohoo! Because everyone's intention is all well and good, but intention versus action, interesting. So let's get going and let's have a look at what's been happening, and let's have a quick review over the week. So I'm going to get you to just have a piece of paper, and let's go through and share the screen. All right. So here we go. We've got our wheel, and each different spoke is a different KPI and a different project. So how this is going to work is, so for example, we have you might have your KPI number 1, your KPI number 2, your KPI number 3, and you might have your project number 1, your project number 2, your project number 3, and then you might have another business one that you may be working on, and then a personal one that you may be working on as well. Okay, so they're the different categories, they're the different areas that we're going to go through now, and we're going to review. So this is from the last week. So if you look at your last your last week in review, what's been if you could rate them out of 10. So if you look at KPI, this is 0 and this is 10. All right, how would you rate that? Are you on track with that? All right, are you on track with that? What would you rate it? Would you rate it a 8? Okay, KPI 2, and there's no focus there. Rated a 3. KPI number 3, yeah, we're on a 6. Project 1, all right. How was your project 1? I think it was about a 5. We're on track there. Project 2, no. Project 3, yeah, on fire there. The other business category that we're focusing on could have been whatever it is. Yeah, we're on track. And personal could be health and fitness. It could be relationships. Could be meditating. Whatever it is for you, yeah, it's on track. So now we've got all those different categories. We've rated them out of 10, 0 to 10. We'll just draw so-called wheel, all right? So how does your wheel drive? Let's go a couple minutes there, and let's actually fill in your wheel. Let's rate each KPI out of 10, each project out of 10, and business and personal, another business and another personal category out of 10. And then let's join the dots. And once you're done, just let me know when you are done. Lovely, Linda. Good stuff. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So now if we're looking at your wheel, how balanced is it, Will? How balanced is it? Where would be the area that you are going really well in? And where is the area that you've really dropped the ball in? Okay. And why? So why have you been going well? Why have you had that focus? What has enabled you to do that? But on the flip side, the ones that aren't getting there, that aren't performing, why is that as well? What's been holding you back in relations to that? All right. So let's go. I want you to just have a quick review, and I want you to type in the why you've been performing well in one area, but why you haven't been performing well in the other area. All right, let's go. All right, good. And let me know when you've done answering those questions. Yeah, total focus. Interesting, isn't it? So the reason, the right effect, the high area is overdone, so perhaps over affecting, and the other is flowing because it's right effect. The over effect in one area has dropped the others. Over efforting. Ooh, nice. Over efforting. Good. So once again, as I started this session, is where our focus goes, our energy flows. And when we look at where our focus goes, it comes back to the good old ideal week. All right. So when was the last time you reviewed your ideal week? Right. So once again, an ideal week, you have your time. So whatever it is, when you wake up, do it in half-hour increments, and so forth. And then you have your Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and actually then start to map out where are you focusing your KPIs, where are you focusing your projects, where are you focusing your personal. Because what can happen is that when we don't look at this, when we don't look at our ideal weeks, we will go to the one that we actually feel that we like doing, and it gives us the best return. We're emotional beings, right? So what happens is that when we're getting some success, that's where we go, oh, let's focus a little bit more in here. Or let's focus a bit more here, because we're nourishing ourselves, we're filling ourselves up. It's like, oh, this feels good. Let's have more of that, right? We're not going to be making, for example, cold calls if we hate them, because it doesn't feel good, right? But what happens is that when we have an area to focus on, it's like, right, what state, and this comes back to the state that we need to be in order to do the activity that we need to do. All right. This is what state do we need to be in? All right. When we're making those cold calls, what state do we need to be in? When we're doing the email responses, what state do we need to be at? When we're having those team meetings, what state do we need to be in? All right. So this is so important, where it comes from in the ideal week, is looking at the chunks of time of, okay, great. So in here, I'm doing calls, for example. All right, cool. But what's the state that I need to be in order to do those calls, right? Because this process will shift your focus instantly and allow you to look at things differently. So even though you could be going really well in some areas and it's like feeling really good, you can actually utilize that energy then to bring into different areas. So my challenge and my homework for you guys this week is to really look at your ideal week, looking at the different areas, your different KPIs, your different projects that you need to go through, and actually start to map out. You've got all your different areas that you need to focus on, but what's the state that you need to be in order to achieve the success in that area? All right. What's the state that you need to be in? So there's your homework for this week. So as we go back up now to your weekly focus, all right? So we have the different categories. So we have, for example, we have KPI 1, KPI 2, 3, project 1, project 2, project 3. And we have the different business area, and we have the different personal area. All right. Now, if you rated KPI was whatever it was, a 8 before, KPI was a 5, KPI 3 was a 7. What was my project 1 last week? It was a 4, 6. Okay, whatever it was. What's the outcome this week that you want to achieve? What's the outcome this week? All right. So let's go through, let's get really crystal clear. What is my outcome? Not my to-do list, not my task list, but what's the outcome? All right, what's the outcome? So if your KPI is that I want, it could be 10 new leads a month, right? Divided by 4, 2.5. All right, this week I want 2.5 leads. That's my outcome. All right, don't worry about the task on how to get there. I just want outcomes. What is your outcome this week and why? All right, so what's the outcome this week and why? Let's go through that and let me know when you are done. So let's fill it out. I'll share with you a little story. Last week I was with Michael Griffiths on the Partnership Club, and lovely Danny and Matt and a few of the others. And we were fortunate enough to be part of his Platinum group, which we meet a day before the larger group. And there was only 5 of us around the table compared to 50 that was in the room the following 2 days. And one of the things that we measure is what's called the 5 dials. And the 5 dials are the number of leads coming through the business, the monthly income, the monthly profit, how many days per week are you working on your genius. So whatever that genius is for you, it's not working in the business, but working on your genius, and how many days off a month that you're wanting to have. This is also including weekends. And then from there is that what we do, we set our quarterly goals around that. And then from there, what we do is we set the projects based on that. So we've got 5 key projects that we are currently working on within our business that's aligned to those 5 dial KPIs. And so one of those is obviously having more time off. And so one of the goals for me personally is to have half Fridays, right? So what was important to that was then to, how do we do that, was to then enroll the teams, all right? And enrolling the teams, the team that we've got, is to give full ownership over all the projects, full ownership over, hey, this is where the business is at, and this is where it needs to get to. And by going through this process, we had our team meeting yesterday. By going through this process was a great process, because what it did enable them, the team, to go, oh, wow, okay, cool. This is where James is at with the business, but this is where he wants to go. How can I help? And so now with that, for example, having the time off, is we're having a daily whip calls just to check in to ensure that we're moving those projects forward. And what that enables me to do is to hand more stuff over to the team to free me up to work, one, on my genius, right? And also two, to have more time off. So the question is, I've got for you is how are you then aligning your KPIs and your projects to your bigger picture goals that you want for your business? All right, cool, excellent. So there we go. So we've got our outcomes and our why for this week. So what's been the number one thing from you from doing this process this morning? What have you learned? What have you taken away? What's been the number one thing for you? As you write that, I mean, as you can see, it doesn't take long to have that weekly focus, because 20 minutes, 30 minutes, all it takes once a week to go, okay, great. Let's rate, let's have a category. Let's really focus on what we need to do. What was the rating from last week? What's the outcome for this week, and why? And let's really get clear on that. 20 minutes, I mean, you could probably cut it down to 10, right? Excuse me. So what's been the number one thing? Yeah, focus equals success. Totally. I mean, look at Linda, for example, the success that you've had in health and fitness. It's been huge over the last couple of months. Why? Because you're focusing on it. Funny that. So as we go through what we've got coming up, for those attending, we've had a couple of people saying technical difficulties, obviously because coming from our moving into the webinar platform compared to the meeting room platform. We will, as I mentioned, we will be able to go to Facebook Living this into the tribe directly. This is just a couple of different things that we've been focusing on. It's a tweak within the settings, so I'll work through that throughout this week. So for those who attend the next 3 tribal sessions, I'll be taking you guys out for dinner at the next intensive, which was on Tuesday the 10th and Wednesday the 11th of April. So make sure you guys put that in the diary. We'll be sending out the information around that later on this week. I'm going to share with you a little bit of a sneak peek of what we'll be going through at the next intensive, and it is going to be epic. So there's 3 key areas that we'll be focusing on. The first one is podcasting like a pro. We've had some huge success in relations to our podcast personally, but also a couple of other clients. We've systemized it now on how to set it up, how to invite, and how to be invited onto other people's podcasts, and people get onto your podcast. People go, podcast, how do we do that? It's like having a conversation. It's like picking up the phone and having a conversation. We've automated it to make it super easy for everyone. So we're going to start that process. Give an example, one of our clients, one podcast that they got on, they got 5 inquiries and 2 new clients. It's like half hour on the podcast. Huge, brilliant. So, and we'll share with you on how we're going to set you up on your own podcast, get you going, and we're going to actually conduct your first interview. So we'll get you going on that. Second element on the intensive is the EQ leader. So we're going to be developing your emotional intelligence. Gone are the days of the dictatorial leader and the authoritarian leader. It's all about understanding the emotional intelligence, 1, the self-awareness, but also 2, the self-management, and also understanding others' emotions and how to deal with them. Particularly as leadership now, we're going into a new era, and obviously the Gen Ys and Gen Xs, and that's an interesting time in itself. But how do we actually connect, and how do we lead from that emotional intelligence space? We're going to be going through and developing those skills around that. The third area that we'll be covering is the leadership advantage. So we've been working on our leadership advantage model over the last number of months, and as you know, we've been sending out some information around that. We're going to be focusing on the build section, and this build section is going to be making up three key components. The first one is recruiting. We're going to actually give you the template and the framework, so how to actually get the right people coming to you and you being interviewed, and the process of how do we go through and interviewing. The second component is the onboarding. We've done this before the first 100 days, but I'm going to simplify that a little bit more. We're going to focus on the three key areas of onboarding. And the third element of the build section is the culture. We want to look at some of the things like the 1%ers of how you developing your culture already within your business, and what are some of the really quick and easy things that we can do. We can start to move our culture into a really winning and championship team culture. So that's what we'll be going through. So there's three areas: podcasting like a pro, the emotional intelligent leader, and the leadership advantage model, which is the first component, which is build. So secret is out. So get ready, put yourself in Coogee Surf Club, and really excited to have you guys there and your teams. So there we go. So we've got a couple more weeks before we see you guys. Any questions, please let me know. Well done, and I look forward to speaking to you all soon. All right, guys, have a great week, and bye for now.